For what feels like forever, winning the digital game has been all about one thing, right? SEO, search engine optimization. But what if I told you that entire rulebook is being torn up as we speak? Yep, generative AI is causing a huge shift in how brands get seen online. And it's all about the move from SEO to GEO. So let me just ask you this straight up. Is your brand invisible to AI? Because look, if your whole digital strategy is still just about climbing a list of search results, you might be shouting into a void that AI, well, it just isn't listening to. And that really is the crucial point here. The old benchmark for success, just being on Google, that's just not going to cut it anymore. If you want your content to have any real impact today, you need to be in the actual answers from ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, all of them. The old playbook is officially out of date. So how did the game change so dang fast? Well, search itself is being totally reinvented. We're moving away from that world where you type a question and get a big list of links you have to dig through. Now you get a single conversational answer delivered right to you by an AI. And this visual just says it all, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the classic list of blue links. That's the old way. But over on the right, that's the new reality, one single authoritative answer. The AI does all the work of synthesizing information and gives you one response. If you're not part of that synthesis, you basically don't exist in that conversation. So this new reality, it demands a completely new strategy. And that strategy has a name, GEO, or Generative Engine Optimization. This is the new frontier for digital visibility, and it's exactly what we're going to break down right now. Okay, so what in the world is GEO? Put simply, it's the whole strategy of making your content so good that it gets read, interpreted, quoted, and used as a reference by these AI models. The goal isn't just to be found anymore, it's to be used by the AI as a trusted source when it builds answers for millions of people. And this is where the stakes get incredibly high. Just let this sink in for a second. Whoever controls AI responses controls the digital conversation. This isn't just about getting seen anymore. We're literally talking about a battle to become the authority, to be the definitive source of truth in this brand new digital world. Here's a pretty simple way to wrap your head around it. Just think of the AI as the world's new, biggest digital influencer. It's the ultimate information gatekeeper, and brands now have to win it over. You have to convince this influencer that your content is trustworthy, accurate, and valuable enough to share with its massive, massive audience. So the big question is, how does this new world of GEO stack up against the SEO we all know and love? Well, it's not about throwing SEO out the window. Think of them as partners, but with very different goals, as you're about to see. This table breaks it down perfectly. With SEO, the objective was always to climb the rankings. With GEO, the goal is to become the source the AI cites. The techniques are different too. SEO was all about keywords and backlinks. GEO is about structured data and semantics, which, by the way, is just a fancy way of saying you need to organize your content with clear labels so a machine can understand its actual meaning. And finally, how do you know if you're winning? In SEO, it's clicks and traffic. In GEO, it's getting mentioned by the AI and, just as important, how accurately it represents your information. Okay, so we get what GEO is and why it's so important. Now for the really practical part. How do you actually start optimizing your content for an AI? How do you make your stuff the most appealing source for that new AI influencer? It really comes down to 5 core strategies. First, use structured data. Think of this like putting labels on everything, FAQs, tables, so the AI can read it without any effort. Second, accuracy is king. The AI is hunting for reliable, well-sourced information, so your content has to be rock solid. Third, optimize semantically. This means you focus on the meaning and connections between ideas, not just jamming in keywords. Fourth, build your digital authority. This is all about earning trust through things like high-quality links and mentions from reputable places. And number 5, for some, it might even mean customizing an AI's training with your own data to make sure it gets things right from the start. But here's the really fascinating twist in all of this. The secret to winning with artificial intelligence is to get way better at understanding human intelligence. This isn't about gaming an algorithm anymore. It's about structuring your content around real meaning. It's about thinking ahead, anticipating how a real person would ask a question, using consistent language, and building obvious signals of trust. Turns out, having deep expertise in human communication gives you an absolutely massive edge. So this all leads us to one single, crystal clear objective. In this new era, your goal is to stop fighting for a spot on a list and start competing to become the answer itself. But what happens if you don't? What if you just ignore this shift and keep doing things the way you've always done them? Well, the consequences of doing nothing are very, very real. The biggest risk is simple: digital invisibility. Your brand just gets left out of AI responses entirely. Even worse, the AI could start spreading wrong or outdated information about you. And while you're fading into the background, your competitors who are doing GEO, they're becoming the AI's trusted source, and they're going to own the entire conversation in your space.
So the bottom line is this: the end game has changed. The goal is no longer just to be on the first page. The real goal now is to be the source that AI models turn to when they talk to the world.
And that leads us with one last, pretty critical question to think about as we wrap this up. In this age of generative AI, everything is changing. So you have to ask yourself, is your brand ready to be the answer?